I'm Melanie Martinez, and you're watching Pavlina's Kidz Place.
Hey everyone, it's Pavlina from Pavlina's Kidz Place, and we are here at the Social before a sold-out performance with Melanie Martinez. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
That's good. I'm very good. Have you ever been to Florida before?
I have been to Florida, yes.
So have you ever been during a tropical storm? Because we are currently in the middle of a hurricane, so you know, whatever.
So crazy, yeah. We found out and we were really scared to drive here, but everything was fine, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I know some of your fans, I was talking to them beforehand, they've been here since 8 a.m. and then it started raining 10 minutes ago, so I was like, oh my gosh, that's so sad, but I know, it's okay, they love you, it's all good. So I know one thing, rain or shine, that you can do, and I know you really enjoy, is thrift shopping. So tell me about that, and have you found any stores in Orlando? Or
We actually just got in right now, so I haven't been able to look at any vintage shops or anything, but if you know any, definitely let me know.
Actually, I don't know of any around Orlando because I'm from Daytona, but I will find some, and because I know you're really into the vintage toys, right?
I collect vintage toys from the 50s and 60s, and most of my wardrobe is just a bunch of stuff from the 60s, and yeah, I don't know. I'm just really into it. I've always been really into collecting vintage.
My sisters and I, we've been watching Once Upon a Time because it just came out on Netflix, the new season. Yeah, and Cruella Deville is on. She's on there now, I guess. But is that where you got the inspiration for your hair? Oh my gosh, yeah. When did you decide to do that?
Well, when I was 16, or actually maybe even 15, turning 16, I told my mom never let me bleach my hair, so I told her one day I was watching 101 Dalmatians, and I was like, Mom, I'm going to dye my hair like Cruella Deville. And she was like, no, you're not. And I was like, yeah, I am. And I went to the salon the next day, and I called her while I was in the chair. I was like, I'm getting half of my hair blonde. And she was like, no, you're not. And I was like, yeah, I am. And then I came home, and she didn't talk to me for a week. But I mean, obviously she doesn't care now. I'm 20, and I've had it for so long. But it was just so funny in the moment.
Yeah, it's such a spontaneous thing. Hey, Mom, this is what I'm doing. I was actually at the Gracie Awards in New York when you performed there, and you performed Dollhouse and another song. So where do you get your songs? Is it a personal experience, or tell me about your songs?
Well, the album that I just put out, Crybaby, has been kind of a 1.5 year process, and basically it's just the whole inspiration was childhood themes and pairing that with adult situations. So whether it was something that I went through or someone else went through, it always had to be an adult, an adult story at the core of the song. And the outside, the facade was kind of this bubblegum, pastel, little kid, kind of, coating around it, I guess. And so I would just think of titles like Dollhouse and Carousel and Milk and Cookies and Tag You're It and all these little kid, things or themes, and I would just think of, things to relate it to in my life, whether if I was going through it at that moment, or just stories that I would make up. So basically the album is called Crybaby, and it's this character based off of myself. And, she's a little girl, and it's just telling the story of her, in the beginning she's super vulnerable and she's really insecure, and then as time passes and as she goes through really crazy things, she gets kidnapped and she escapes and poisons him with milk and cookies and stuff, and just stuff like that, she becomes stronger and more confident in her own skin. And I think that the time from the beginning to now, I think that I've made the same kind of change in myself. I think that I've become more confident in myself in writing the album.
If you were to go to Starbucks and just have a conversation or talk to someone, who would you want to just have a coffee with?
Tim Burton, probably.
So I love your open view on plastic surgery in your song Miss Potato Head. You say, Miss Potato Head, tell me, is it true, pain is beauty? Does a new face come with a warranty? So tell me about that song.
Well, it's funny because when I was first writing it, I for a long time I had the visual of a Mrs. Potato Head and pulling apart her face and how that can act as plastic surgery. And the whole point of the song wasn't to bash, people who get plastic surgery or anything, because I really, I could care less about what someone else does, it's not affecting me. But it was more of kind of in the story, in Crybaby's story, it was kind of her just feeling confident enough to say that like she feels like she doesn't need to do that in order to feel beautiful, because she's reached a point where she like all her insecurities have kind of like faded away, and I think it was just like a kind of like a turning point for her, and like showing that she like felt really comfortable in her own skin, and that she didn't need to like hide or like, you know, cover up her insecurities with like trying to change how she looks, you know? So, but I think that what I was really drawn to was just the visual of a Mrs. Potato Head, and like how you can pull apart her face, and like how that can play as plastic surgery. I just like had that idea in my head for so long that like, you know, I really wanted to execute it, and I'm happy that I did.
I think I heard somewhere that you're turning Crybaby, like the album, into a storybook. Can you tell me about that?
Well, the actual physical album is a storybook.
Okay.
So yeah, so like all the CDs that like people can get at the show tonight are storybooks. So you can flip it's like literally a book, and you can flip the pages and stuff, and they're all illustrations by Chloe Tersini, and she is an amazing artist, and she did all of the illustrations, and she's just incredible. So yeah, it's definitely worth getting.
Thank you so much for talking to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.